Confidence is not something you're born with, it's something you build, refine, and live every single day. When we talk about confident women, we're not talking about perfection, loudness, or dominance. We're talking about clarity. We're talking about purpose. And most importantly, we're talking about consistency in how they think and act, even when no one is watching. Confident women don't wake up feeling powerful every single day. They wake up with a decision to show up anyway. That's the difference. They don't wait for motivation, they create it through action. They understand that confidence is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. One of the biggest shifts in how confident women think is this: they don't seek approval, they seek alignment. They don't constantly ask, "Do people like me?" Instead, they ask, "Am I being true to myself?" That one shift changes everything. Because when your life is built around approval, you become dependent on others. But when your life is built around alignment, you become unstoppable. You'll notice confident women don't over-explain themselves. They don't feel the need to justify every decision or convince everyone around them. They speak with clarity and calmness. Not because they think they're better than others, but because they trust their own judgment. And that trust didn't come overnight, it came from making decisions, learning from mistakes, and refusing to shrink after failure. Confident women also understand the power of boundaries. They know that saying no is not rejection, it's protection. Protection of their time, their energy, and their peace. They don't say yes just to avoid conflict. They don't stay silent just to keep others comfortable. They've learned that every time they betray themselves to please others, they lose a piece of their confidence. So they choose differently. Another powerful habit is how they handle failure. Most people see failure as something to avoid. Confident women see it as feedback. They don't attach their identity to one mistake. They don't say, "I failed, so I'm a failure." They say, "That didn't work, what can I learn from it?" That mindset keeps them moving forward when others give up. You'll also notice how they carry themselves. It's not about expensive clothes or perfect looks. It's about presence. When a confident woman walks into a room, she's not asking, "Do I belong here?" She's thinking, "How can I contribute here?" That shift from insecurity to contribution changes how people perceive you. Because confidence is felt before it is heard. Confident women are also incredibly intentional with their environment. They don't surround themselves with people who constantly drain them, criticize them, or make them doubt themselves. They choose relationships that challenge them, support them, and push them to grow. Because they understand that who you spend time with shapes how you see yourself. And here's something important: they don't compare themselves constantly. In today's world, it's easy to scroll through social media and feel like you're behind. But confident women know that comparison is a trap. They focus on their own journey. They measure progress against who they were yesterday, not against someone else's highlight reel. Another key habit is how they speak to themselves. The internal dialogue matters more than anything else. Confident women don't allow negative self-talk to run unchecked. They don't say, "I'm not good enough." They challenge that thought. They replace it with something stronger: "I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm becoming." Because the way you talk to yourself becomes the way you show up in the world. They also take responsibility for their lives. They don't blame circumstances, people, or past experiences for where they are. They acknowledge challenges, but they don't use them as excuses. Instead, they ask, "What can I control right now?" That sense of ownership builds real, lasting confidence. Confident women are not afraid to stand alone if necessary. They would rather be alone than be in the wrong environment. They don't chase validation from people who don't value them. They don't lower their standards just to feel accepted. Because they understand that loneliness is temporary, but losing yourself can last much longer. They are also lifelong learners. Confidence doesn't mean knowing everything, it means being open to learning anything. They read, they listen, they observe. They're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to admit when they don't know something. Because they see growth as strength, not weakness. And when it comes to communication, confident women listen more than they speak. They don't interrupt to prove a point. They don't dominate conversations to feel important. They listen to understand. And when they do speak, their words carry weight because they come from thoughtfulness, not insecurity. Another powerful trait is emotional control. Confident women feel emotions deeply, but they don't let emotions control their actions. They don't react impulsively. They pause. They think. They respond with intention. That level of control gives them an edge in both personal and professional situations. They also celebrate themselves, not in an arrogant way, but in a healthy, grounded way. They acknowledge their wins, no matter how small. They don't wait for others to recognize their effort. They give themselves credit, because confidence grows when you recognize your own progress. And here's something many people overlook: confident women take care of themselves. Physically, mentally, emotionally. They understand that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So they make time for rest, for reflection, for growth. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. They also embrace discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones, and they know that. So they take risks. They try new things. They step into situations where they might fail. Because they understand that every uncomfortable moment is an opportunity to expand. Confident women don't try to control everything. They focus on what they can influence and let go of what they can't. That mindset reduces stress and increases clarity. Because when you stop trying to control everything, you gain control over what actually matters. They are also consistent. Not perfect, consistent. They show up even on days when they don't feel like it. They stick to their values even when it's hard. They keep moving forward, step by step. Because confidence is not built in one big moment, it's built in small, repeated actions over time. And perhaps the most powerful thing of all, they believe in their own worth. Not because someone told them they're worthy, but because they decided it themselves. They don't wait for permission to feel valuable. They don't wait for validation to feel enough. They know it, and that belief shapes everything they do. So if you're watching this and wondering how to become more confident, start here. Start with your thoughts. Start with your habits. Start with your decisions. Because confidence is not something you find, it's something you create. Every time you choose yourself, you build it. Every time you speak up, you strengthen it. Every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you protect it. And over time, those small choices turn into a powerful identity. Not just someone who wants to be confident, but someone who is.